All right, so we have number 8. We have our name. Vocabulary is the first thing we're going to talk about. All right, on the last test that we had, how important was vocabulary? This is really, really important, guys. All right, there were 7 questions on vocabulary on that last test. Each of those questions was 3 points. So on that test, how much did that make the vocabulary worth? Alexandra? 21 points. If you did not know the vocabulary and you lost all 21 of those points, that automatically dropped you to a C. There's no reason that we don't memorize the vocabulary and learn it. All right, you'll notice on that first test, the vocabulary I gave you was matching on the test. That was nice. That was really nice. In fact, that was a little too nice. All right, the next test, I'm telling you right now, you will not have matching. All right, you will have to know your vocabulary words and fill them into a blank. You will not have a word bank. One of the big questions is, well, do we have to know how to spell the word? Yes. All right, I'm not giving you 25 words. I'm not even giving you 10 words. You'll have like 4 or 5. So those 4 or 5 words, yes, we need to know how to spell them. Kind of part of being educated is knowing how to spell things, okay? So like decimal. If you have to sound it out in your head, but you need to know how to spell it, okay? I'm not giving you a word bank. You have to know that decimal is one of your words. What I would recommend, guys, today we only have 2 vocabulary words we're doing. I would recommend go ahead and make 2 note cards for those 2. All right, then we add more vocabulary words to it. We can add to it as well. Got it? Are we good with that? Do you get a word bank? No. Do you have to spell it right? Yes. Okay. Decimal, our definition. A decimal is a number. And a lot of us know what a decimal looks like, but might have a hard time putting it into words. So it's a number that is written with a point between the part of the number greater than 1 and the part less than 1. So again, a lot of us know that a decimal might look something like the number, I don't know, 5.8. All right. 5 is the part in front. We know that that's greater than 1, correct? 5 is definitely larger than 1. But then when I look at the other side, the 0.8, is 0.8 larger than 1? No, 0.8 is somewhere between 0 and 1. Okay, a little bit closer to 1. So a decimal is a number that's written with a point between the part that's larger than 1, which is the whole numbers, and the part that's smaller than 1, which is that decimal piece. Okay? All right, place value. Place value, again, this is something that you've done in the past. All right, place value is the value of where the digit is in the number. Okay? So the place value is actually the value of that specific digit in a larger number. And we're going to practice labeling our place value. Place value is something I've noticed already this year. Y'all clearly did last year, and y'all did that very well. All right, so hopefully this will be another section that's review. Okay, raise your hand if you need more time copying down the definitions. Okay. Fine. right, so if you look down at the chart below, I have it broken down into columns. Hopefully, hold on, I gotta sneeze. Okay, I'm good. That was a weird sound. Yeah. All right, so when I'm looking at the place value down here, let's start with our first example, which is just 3.25. And you see how each number is in a specific column. All right, it's very important when you start doing decimals. I noticed this when we were doing like our just algorithm for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and stuff like that. Some of when we're lining up our numbers, it's not quite a line that you're creating. So it's going to be really important that we have everything almost like there are columns here. Do you have to draw out these columns? No. All right, but in your mind, I want you to be thinking, oh, I've got to make sure it's down straight in a column and that they're separated clearly, okay? So like right here, I have 3.25. 3 is to the left of that decimal. What place value is to the left of the decimal? Daniela? The ones. And if we want to write it kind of vertical here so we have a little bit more space to fill that in, we can. I tried last class, like writing it straight across. I can't write small enough for that. All right, so we have our ones place. Then we have our decimal. What is it that comes after the decimal? That first place value after the decimal, Locke? The tenths. She did not say the tens, the tenths, with that TH on it. Okay. What's going to be next? What about that 5? Where is that, Alexandra? The hundredths. Hundredths. Sorry, think about how I'm spelling there. Hundredths. Okay, let's look at our next number down here. Here we have 145 and 0.1068. So let's see if we can name all of these place values. So let's start again. Right next to the decimal to the left, we have 5. What place value is that 5 in? Taylor? The ones. And you can see we've already labeled the ones. The 3 and the 5 both came first to the left. So they're both considered in the ones. What about the 4? What place value is the 4 in? Emma? Tens. And this time we're not using that TH. That's just the tens place. What about the 1? What place value is that 1 going to be in? Chandler? Hundreds. Hundreds. Okay? Raise your hand if you've seen this before. These place values. Okay, good. Most of us, all of us, good. All right. Looking to the right of the decimal, we have 1, which we've already labeled. The place next to the decimal to the right is the tenths. Then I have the 0, which is the hundredths. What about that 6? What place value is that going to be in, Logan?
Thousandths.
Thousandths. And then Dalton, sorry if I can spell thousandths. What is the 8 in? 10 thousandths. Okay. All right, if I wanted to continue, so I don't have any numbers in the chart that are over to this side, but on the left side, what would come after the hundreds? Someone new? What would come after the hundreds? Abby? The thousands, and then we would also have the 10,000s on here. Thousands and the 10,000s. I spelled one of those wrong. All right. So you notice on both sides they look pretty similar, don't they? What's missing on the right? What's missing on the right? Logan?
The 1.
There's no ones in our decimals. All right, and I'm going to kind of show you why that works that way. So the reason our decimals get their name. So for example, do y'all agree that's 325? 325. 325. What is the number furthest away from the decimal? 5, right? To the right. And that's in the hundreds place. If I take 325 and divide by 100, because it's in the hundredths, Isn't that the number we were just talking about? All right, so if I had 325 and divided by 10, that's just going to give me a number to the 10th place. So dividing by 10 will give me 1 decimal place. 325 divided by 100 gives me 2 decimal places, which is the hundredths. 325 divided by 1,000 is going to give me 3 decimal places, which is to the thousandths. Do y'all see that? All right, what happens if I divide something by 1?
It stays the same.
It stays the same. So can 1 change something to a decimal? No, which is why there are no once. You start at tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths. Logan?
Does that mean that the ones is special? Aww. And does that mean the hundreds and the tenths are special?
They're just numbers.
Oh.
They're just numbers, but there's certain names for each of them. Yes, Taylor? Do you have a question? Go quickly, your thoughts. Next, the next question. All right. Adding and subtracting decimals. This should be review.
Yay.
This should be review. For adding and subtracting decimals, what's like the number 1 rule? What's the number 1 thing you have to remember to do when you're adding and subtracting decimals? Jacob? Line up the decimals. So do y'all see that little star there? That's where we're going to write our rule. Line up the decimals. All right, that's really the only rule for adding and subtracting decimals. All right, so let's set up number 1. Again, we have to line them up. If I'm writing them straight across, are they lined up? No. All right, it is addition, so do you have to leave it in that order? No, you can change it if you want. I'm going to leave it in that order. We don't have to. All right, I'm going to leave it there. So I have 9.55. Guys, do y'all see how my numbers are spaced a little bit further apart than normal? Why would I do that? Jacob?
So that you have enough room for the decimals?
So I have enough room for the decimals. What's another reason I would space them apart a little bit more? What?
So you can tell which place is what. Hold on, explain it.
So I can tell which place value is which. So it's easier to line up all of my numbers. If I have more space in my numbers, it's easier to line them up, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal down here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal so I can make sure that they form a straight line. Are my decimals in a straight line?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so from the other number, the next to the decimal should be the ones place. What is in the ones place here for 18.9? Jacob?
8.
The 8. So I'm going to put the 8 underneath the 9. All right, is the 1 in the ones place?
No.
Sounds kind of funny. No, 1 is in the 10. So guys, I need to make sure that my 1 is not anywhere near that 9. I don't want it underneath the 9. Okay? Do y'all see I can clearly see 9 and 8 are lined up? My decimals are lined up. What's going to go underneath the first 5? Logan? 9. All right, now this 5 doesn't have anything underneath it. What could I put there? What could I put there, Sarah Paige? A 0. All right, so now let's add that up. 5 plus 0. 5 plus 9. 14. Carry my 1. 1 plus 9 is 10. Plus 8 is 18. Carry my 1. So then I have 1 and 1, which is 2. Missing anything? Yeah, I got to bring that decimal straight down. We worked so hard to line them up, we want to make sure we keep it in that place. Okay, so there's my answer. This should be review. All right, on number 2, it's subtraction. Can I change the order on that one? No, we can't change it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my 9, my 3, my decimal point, and my 5. Again, do y'all see how I'm spacing those out a little bit more? Guys, this is something I would definitely suggest, okay? All right, so now I'm going to line this up again, putting my decimal first. Underneath the 3 in the ones place, we should have a 9. Underneath the 9 in the tens place, we should have 7. Underneath the 5 in the tenths place, we should have 1. And then next to the 1, we should have 7, but I'm leaving a little bit of space because is that in the tens place as well? No, that's in the hundredths, so I left some space. All right, am I missing anything before I start subtracting here?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you can tell me, what do I need to do before I start subtracting? Zach?
You have to add a 0 behind the 5.
We have to put that 0 above the 7. Guys, for addition, the zeros don't matter as much, but for subtraction, if you don't put them, you will get the wrong answer. If you do not put them for subtraction, you will get the wrong answer, okay, guys? So I would just always put them for adding and subtracting, all right? 0 minus 7, can we do that? No, so I'm going to borrow from 5. 5 is going to become 4, and then 0 becomes 10. What's 10 minus 7?
3.
4 minus 1? 3 minus 9? Can't do it, so I'm going to borrow from 9. 9 becomes? 3 becomes? 13. So now 13 minus 9 is 4, and 8 minus 7. Don't forget the decimal. Excellent job, guys. Okay? Number 3 is a little bit different. Raise your hand if you can tell me what's different about number 3. Dalton? It has no decimal. The number 29 is a whole number. The number 29 is a whole number. Can someone remind me, what does the decimal do? What does the specific, just the dot, what does that dot do? Sarah Paige?
It like separates like greater than 1 and less than 1.
It separates the part that's greater than 1 and the part that's less than 1. It separates your whole number from the extra stuff. On number 29, I only have a whole number, correct? All right, is there anything that needs to be separated from? No. Could I add something? What could I add to that needs to be separate from it? Chandler?
A decimal and then 2 zeros.
I could add a decimal. So that 29 is the same as 29 point with the decimal next to it. Every single whole number has a decimal next to it, whether we write it or not. It's there. Okay, so then I'm going to put my decimal underneath. In the ones place, I have 5. In the tens place, I have 1. In the tenths, I have 4. In the hundredths, I have 2. Now we said again that if we have empty spaces, we need to add in zeros. So I've got to put a 0 above the 4 and the 2. All right, if you write 29.0 and discover you need an extra 0, you can fill it in. I just put 29 with a decimal point next to it. I needed 2 zeros, so I filled them in. Can 29 go on the other side of the decimal? No, it is a whole number, so we have to make sure we keep it in the right place. All right, 0 minus 2. Can't do it. Can I borrow from 0? No. But if I make that 90, can I borrow from 90? Yes. If I take 1 away from 90, it becomes 89. Now remember, if you don't like this method, you can borrow from the 9, give it to 0, borrow from the 10, give it to 0. When I take 1 from 90, though, and get 89, the 1 comes to the 0, making it a 10. If you don't like that method, you can use that traditional method. All right, 10 minus 2, 9 minus 4, 8 minus 5, 2 minus 1. Don't forget to bring down your decimal. Okay, guys, that gives you kind of 3 examples to work with your homework tonight. You have 20 problems because it's just adding and subtracting. When you get it, guys, yours is not going to have numbers. I'm just putting that up there so you can see how I numbered mine. All right, I'm going to pass these out to you guys, and then we're going to work on our perfect squares. I'm going to give you a timed practice sheet on your perfect squares, then we'll have the rest of the period to do our homework.